Hi, I'm Jonathan Papelbon, and I am Coach to Win.
Go get me some knowledge.
I'm so happy I don't have to sit there and watch the truck leave to head down to Fort Myers and then all the hullabaloo that exists for opening day and how romanticized it is. I was never really followed Major League Baseball until I was basically forced to when I started doing radio up in Boston. And I didn't know a lot about you. So I did a ton of research on you, just looking at your career from beginning to end, lots of videos. And I'm going to say this with the most respect and admiration. This is the most lovable lunatic I think I've ever seen in my life. Your character, your passion, your commitment to your role and your job, the things that you say and how you say it. I wish I had the guts to go out there and say some of the things that you said. So, easy question. Why are you so comfortable saying the quiet part out loud?
I don't know. I think I've just always been that way, even as a kid. I could just remember on the playground, kind of always wanting to be the quarterback or, the shortstop or, whatever the main position was. And just, I don't know. I think it also comes from a family with all brothers in it. We all played sports. So I grew up in sports locker rooms and clubhouses and teams. Let's see. So 3 times a year, every year since I was about 5 years old. Back then it was football, baseball, basketball. Or I'm sorry, basketball, baseball.
Yeah.
Now it's different, but that's just kind of how it was.
So what was it like? What was dinner like? Was it even competitive at dinner time in the Papelbon household when you were growing up in Jacksonville? Was it here comes the food, let's everybody get as much as they can so the smallest, weakest one gets left out?
Well, it was whoever would. You didn't finish last because you didn't get seconds if you finished
Yeah.
last. That's for sure.
Your dad was a military guy, right? What was his teaching philosophy? How was he as a dad as you were coming up, figuring out which sport you were going to major in?
Yeah, we didn't miss school. We didn't, every day we had to go to school unless you had like 104 temperature. There was no skipping school. We basically it was sports in school, and I went to Jacksonville to a private Catholic school that I think kind of started my whole baseball ability in the competition that was at that high school. It was pretty competitive there.
Bishop
Uh,
Kenny?
yeah, correct. So, the competition started immediately, and I love competition no matter what it is. I think really that's what all good big leaguers that I've played against, they hate to lose, man. And it doesn't matter what it is, if it's cards on the back of the plane or ping pong.
You grew up in basically the football country, like any area in the South, especially that southeastern
Tennessee White
area.
Country, yeah.
So, was football ever an option?
Yeah, so I mean, for me, it was my first option, really. I wanted to play football. I had an offer with Dante Culpepper to go to University of Central Florida and play football there, be a tight end.
Really?
Yeah. And so I had one more visit though, and my dad kind of was like, "Hey, it's a free visit. Go." It was to Mississippi State, and I didn't know really anything about the baseball there, but the baseball was SEC, really competitive baseball, and in a great environment. Like it's the number one environment you'd want to play in college if you want to like be good. And I mean, I walked away. This funny story. I mean, I walked away from every game I went to there with about 2,500 bucks in cash in my pocket, and went to the bar every night and had a great time. And I came back and I said, "Dad, I mean, this is a small town community here in Starkville. It's awesome. I get along with them great. And even to this day, I still go back. So
Wait, so you went there on a recruiting trip for football and then checked out the baseball environment? Is that what happened?
no, I was already signed at UCF.
Oh, so you were signed at UCF to play football?
Right, but I could still take a baseball visit.
Really?
Yeah. So you had five, I think five back
Yeah.
then. Yeah.
Yeah. You still do. I think you still do. You still you
You
still got
still, yeah.
five.
I don't know what it is now, man. It's gotten crazy now, but yeah. So my dad just kind of convinced me to just take the visit, and played under a great coach in Ron Polk there,
Yeah.
learned how to like kind of be a professional like in college. We were playing in front of like 15, 20,000 people. So I went to the minor leagues and like was like, what is this going on?
Baseball in Starkville is pretty important, and especially Ron Polk, who's like a legendary coach in the
Yeah.
SEC. So, did he have to say anything to you to convince you? Or was it just the fact that, man, like it was like NIL before NIL even existed?
Well, it was pocket money NIL. It wasn't brand new cars and Rolexes. It was more or less bar money in your pocket
Yeah.
back then.
Dude, $2,500 bar money. I think I could probably drink for about a year with $2,500 on a college campus, man.
Yeah, it was more money than I knew what to do with. That's for
Yeah.
sure. And it makes it even crazy. Now kids are getting millions of dollars.
And those SEC schools are leading the way with it. Ron Polk is interesting because they call baseball coaches managers. I never really got that, Pap. I don't really get how they're still coaching you, but I guess in baseball, they're more of a manager. So, how much coaching did you get from Ron Polk, or was there somebody else that was responsible for developing you?
Well, it was a pitching coach at Mississippi State who was under Ron Polk. But, in the big leagues, you have a manager that I think manages 25 players and manages the game. I think in college, in the minor leagues, you have coaches. You have coaches that like help you get better. By the time you get to the big leagues, the cream is already to the top. It's either put up or shut up. You know what I mean?
When you get drafted, and this story's been told a million times, but that '04 team had already figured out how to win. They had already developed their culture, a pecking protocols and procedures. And here you come with your personality. And I don't know if anybody even knew what type of personality you have, but it seemed like, based on how you develop and how you became who you are, that was probably the most perfect fit for you as a young player with that group of guys leading the way.
Yeah, they taught me a lot. Boy, was I hazed a lot too, though. But I was
Well,
also
who hazed you? Like, what is hazing like in baseball? Would it, like, go get me some donuts, go get some breakfast, or you have to like shave your head and your eyebrows?
no. It's hard to really talk what it's like on camera. But anyway, it's you're toting a lot of bags, and there's a lot of late nights, and there's a lot of you're basically a concierge to the team your first couple of years. I didn't have a seat on the plane, none of that. Like I sat in the back on top of the little airplane bottles of
Wait,
liquor.
what? Wait, they didn't give you a seat on the plane?
No, I had sir, you served with the waitresses or the stewardess.
Yeah.
So it's just how it was.
So so when you became older, did you do the same thing to the younger guys? Did you pass it forward?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I mean, there's other things too, like, that goes along with it. Like, I bought guys suits and watches, and the same thing was done for me as a young player. So you kind of, you try to keep it going. I think those types of things are still done at the big league level today.
Well, who bought you a suit? Somebody bought you a suit?
Alex Cora, manager right now.
Alex Core bought you a suit. Really? Okay.
Yeah,
Was it like a Miami Vice type of suit with
yeah,
fluorescent colors?
Yeah, it's pretty pimp. It was
So
definitely. I definitely don't have it anymore. It's definitely gone out of style, but back in the day, it was pimp.
playing at any professional level, there's some guys that stand out more than others. You look at that guy, you say, oh, that guy's probably going to be a coach. That guy's going to be a manager. He already is showing signs. Did you see that with Cora?
Yeah, yeah, you see it, and you saw it with. I see it with Veritech, and you know, you see it with a lot of guys. Even when you play with them, they pick up on little things that like coaches do. As a player, they did the same thing. So, I think Alex Cora has a chance to break all kind of records as a manager in Boston, but it's not easy to manage there. It's not easy at all.
Well, what's it like playing there then?
It's awesome to me. I love the the pressure to make the playoffs every year, the pressure to be good, the pressure to win. The people that go there and cheer you on, I feel like were the same type of people that I'd be in the neighborhood with, grilling on the back porch, drinking some beers, jumping in the pool. It
Yeah.
just, you just connect with certain cities and you don't with others. And that's just how it is.
I look at your position as a closer, and I would guess one of the more challenging positions to play, or roles. I don't know how you guys say it in baseball, just based on there's no real schedule. Like it feels. Would you categorize it that way?
Yeah, I categorize it a lot like a kicker in the NFL.
Mm.
You're either a hero or a goat. And when you do your job, you know, nobody really wants to kind of talk to you. You're supposed to do your job, but when you miss that field goal or you blow the save, of course, all the reporters want to talk to you then. So you have to have thick skin. And you got to be able to go out there and like challenge hitters. You can't shy away from a challenge or a certain moment in an at bat or a certain moment in a playoff game. You got to take it on, full throttle and like embrace those situations. And if you don't, Boston, you'll fail, man.
The thing about kickers, I used to watch the guys constantly warming up, constantly moving, and the colder it would get, the more they would move around because they never knew when their opportunity would come. When you know you're going to pitch, like, or you, okay, listen, you may not need to close, it may not be one of those situations. Like, how are you preparing that day? How are you emotionally? How are you controlling your emotions?
Well, I would set my phone down first aside at a certain point of the game and then start getting to work. And I prepared the same way every day. I would try to listen to my body and whatever, every day is different. Sometimes you might need more work on your legs or your upper body, or your neck might be sore because your mechanics were off. You need to work on it. There's all kind of different things you go through 162 days of trying to figure out what your body needs each day. So I would always take that time to try to figure out what I need each day and then get to the point where I could duplicate a certain feeling every day. I feel this way, and this is how I feel. I should feel every day. I'd be able to go to pitch. So I try to duplicate that. Would it be the same every day? No.
When you know you're going to pitch, you put your phone down, you have a routine. How important is that routine for you?
Oh, it was everything. It was like the Bible, man. It was I followed that to an extreme. And it's post game routine too. Ice baths, certain stretches, what you need, massage therapy, maybe a beer and a cigarette if it was a tough game. What I mean, you got to be able to make adjustments when you play 162 games. Like it's all about adjustments.
Is there anything that you used to say to yourself to, like, when you're walking out there and you just don't feel like you have it? Like, how do you flip the switch?
I did like being a little sore every day. It just kind of helped me stay like not full throttle, and like too much is not good, sometimes in baseball. But you know, to me, I always would just talk to myself and always be positive of how I was going to get that hitter out. Um, and you know, of course, your teammates in your infield are talking to you too about what plays are going on, and like let's freaking go, Pap, and stuff like that happens. So it's a lot of different things.
I like it when I see like a pitcher who's like real intense, that has like a psychotic mentality. And in each batter, was there a guy that kind of rubbed you the wrong way more than others? Was there a guy that you took more pride in striking out than others, just based on just the overall just personality of that person, or were they all the same to you?
No, I always wanted to strike out the big hitters that played for the Yankees. Like
Yeah.
to me, that was Giambi, Alex Rodriguez, Derek Jeter, Gary Sheffield. You can go on, but I wanted to get those guys the most because I knew that in Boston in those times, if you couldn't beat the Yankees, you weren't up on the big league club.
The thing I think that stands out to you that I think is real impressive is when you see something that's wrong or not right, or somebody not pulling their weight or not being accountable, like you'll say something. Like, where does that, because I feel like there's a lot of courage that goes into that. Why was that important to you to set the record straight? Keep everybody else accountable.
You know, whether it's me as a young kid with Jason Varitek or me as a veteran with Bryce Harper, you get into moments where you expect things. You have team meetings. You expect how things are going to go, and like, you know, when you have those conversations and you both agree to something, and those conversations aren't met on the work line or the workforce or the business you're in or whatever it may be. Unfortunately, baseball, you know, it's more emotional, and emotions just drive, like, fill to the top, and you go at each other sometimes. But in the business field, I guess you have to stay a little bit more professional. But it happens in the business. It happens every way. It's just It's more magnetized than baseball.
One of the things I thought was interesting, and I talk about a lot on this show, is just culture building, bad teams becoming good teams, and how to build culture, how to grow it, and then how to sustain it. You came in the year after the Sox won that 04 championship, and then they don't win another one until 07, and you're a big part of that reason. What do you think those two teams had in common? What do you think that 04 team and that 07 team had in common?
I think they both had good veteran leadership, along with like some younger talent that was willing to learn and, you know, pay their dues and learn how to be a big leaguer. And it just, that to me was a perfect recipe for both those teams.
Obviously, the leadership with the young kids. Who stood out the most to you during those times?
Well, Jason Varitek was always the most vocal, and our captain, and led all of our meetings and scouting, team meetings, whatever kind of meeting it would be, lead it. And, you know, probably the toughest. So I think he was, you know, our catcher. And I remember him being our biggest leader.
Francona. Can you remember one thing or a couple incidents when Francona had some sort of pep talk, or when you guys needed? Did he ever say anything inspiring to you guys?
Well, his message was always police yourselves, and the team policed themselves. And if they couldn't do that, he would step in. And when he stepped in, and you see him get on somebody like Manny Ramirez or David Ortiz, and he gets on those guys, and you're like, oh shit, okay, well, we better step it up too.
Yeah.
You know? And that's just kind of how he was. And, you know, he was like a father to me. You know, you're 23 years old in the big leagues, so you're learning at life too. So he's also been there, you know, extremely for me, for, you know, all my kids and everything like that, you know.
Will you be coaching your kids? Is that a big part of the Papelbon plan?
No, my son's a golfer, and my other two daughters, they're not real athletic, so
Well, so your son plays golf.
I stay away from golf. I let his golf pro do that.
Oh man,
I suck at golf.
What do you do in your spare time then, other than working?
I like to hunt and fish.
Okay, so you're still down in? Are you still in Mississippi? Where are you at?
Yeah, I live in Mississippi now. Yep.
Okay, what are we hunting down there? What are we looking for?
Turkey, fish for crappie and redfish and all kind of stuff, man.
Have you ever brought any of the players down there to show them what it's like out there in the country?
Yeah, oh yeah. I've hunted with a lot of my buddies, my friends, teammates. Yeah.
Anyone who's never held a gun before?
Oh yeah, yeah. Those are the best. Yeah.
I was gonna say, like, it's not like really cool. You're not like sitting in a tree stand, are you?
No, man. You just let them shoot cool guns, machine guns and stuff, and they're just mind blown, you know.
Hey, do they have the wild hogs down there that I see, like guys shooting out of helicopters?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. We do a lot of that too.
The one thing I always ask at the end of these interviews, and I'm curious if you can help me out, is if you were, this is for like young adults, young athletes, if you were able to gift a young athlete, a young adult, one trait, one characteristic that you think would help them excel in their sport and in life, what would you gift them? What trait, what characteristic would you gift them?
I would give them the immediate ability to learn how to handle failure. Because once you can do that, and I mean, if they have the talent, they'll get there. But once you learn how to do that, you know, all your great athletes have said that before. So to me, that would be the number one thing, is learning through your failures.
No, I like that one. That's the first time I've actually heard that. Actually, I've asked this question, I don't know, maybe 100 times, and I get a different answer every single time.
Go get me some knowledge.